Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bible Illustrated Hands. Today's question comes from T-Bone91, and he's, I assume you're a guy, K-Bone. His question is, what are my opinions on introducing individual communion spoons as a provisional measure during this COVID-19 outbreak? In order to prevent any risk of the disease. Thank you for your question, K-Bone. To be quite honest, I don't mind it. I see no issues. I see no issues with it. I know one priest who uses individual spoons. I have taken communion in a chapel where they disinfect the spoon after every communicant, and I have also received communion on hand in that same chapel during this crisis, again in order to reduce the any risk of infection. And also in this chapel I have also received communion traditionally on the spoon without myself personally fearing the risk of contagion. I know that there are some Christians who decry this as, blasphemy, that this is lack of faith, and so on. However, and also I've seen a surprising number of Christians who call this attack on communion, and I have to say that I disagree with it. To even see this as a attack on communion, because as Christians, we believe in the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist. But the fact is, we do not know how that works. We believe in the presence of Christ, but we do not believe technically in the absence of anything. And I'll be quite honest. I haven't seen the belief in the fact that you can't get anything from communion. That's like. I haven't seen that belief being younger than like late 19th century, because the rules of communing the sick in the Orthodox Church require that the spoon is wiped clean after sick communicants with vinegar and wine, and even treated with fire. And that is how Saint Nicodemus the Hagiorite has left instructions, when communing people who had highly contagious diseases. So there is a lot of variance, and this belief in our safeness with communion, it's more born out of our experience, because truly, if we would get sick through communion, I truly believe that majority of our priests and deacons wouldn't be with us any longer, if that were true. However, I think it would be wrong to impose this belief on our brothers and sisters who may be weaker in faith, because again, just because somebody believes that Christ is present does not require that microbes are actually absent. And if you have an honest priest, you will hear stories about priests forgetting to use communion after the liturgy and finding, sadly, a gross mess in the chalice come next week, because even with all that, the communion pretty much acts like ordinary wine and bread would. It rots, it has mold on it, and I think that the majority of us who partake of communion regularly during Lent have felt that moldy taste on their tongue after partaking of the Eucharist. Again, this is nothing that should scandalize us. We are still part of this world, and the Eucharist is the food of the next stage, not of this one. We have to bear that in mind. So again, individual spoons I got no problem with it. Seen many different approaches. I think that the best approach I have seen is to uh, have sort of individual communions um, that are arranged by priests. I think these are the best, and of course, if individual spoons are used, those individual spoons would remain, consecrated vessels. They shouldn't be put to regular use um, after communion has taken place, because after all, once the precious body and blood of our Lord has touched it, I'm sorry, it's not meant for everyday use. After all, this is a recurring theme in the Holy Scriptures. Christ even says, "Bring me a donkey that no man has sat upon," when he is preparing for his um, triumphant entry into Jerusalem. So there's that. I hope I answered your question. St. Paul was really adamant about us not causing our brethren who are weaker in faith to stumble, and this is precisely such a case. Bye.